actually started this club 8 years ago. And it's been grown. Oh dear Lord, now it's getting rowdier.
Sorry, guys.
There's chairs piled up.
But when we started this club, you know, our biggest goal was not only just to be able to bring fishermen together and everything, but was to be able to do what we're doing now with all 4 of our tournaments, is being able to give back to local charities. With this charity, it's going to put us well over the $225,000 mark that we've done in 8 years. So a huge thanks to Dad for all the hard work that he puts into it. But for 8 years, for a bunch of country boys from Bruskin, $225,000 ain't bad. So good job. Without any further ado, the man, Captain Mike.
Somebody else. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but if you suffer through any of the radio programs, you know that I just appreciate what you guys have done. We're really blessed in this area to have so many great fishing clubs that do so many great things in the community. So I appreciate what you guys stand for. So, what do we want to know? What are we talking about? Redfish and trout?
Redfish and trout, one lure.
You know, it's funny because Mr. Larson sitting up front here, he and I talked, and it didn't dawn on me that I knew we'd be talking about a tournament, but I wasn't sure, I didn't remember that it was one lure. And I know that Mahoney's has a bunch of these in stock. So first, I'm going to talk about, does everybody know that there's red tide in the bed? A pretty large amount of it. Wow. Joe's Island covered in it. Boca Ciega Bay today covered in it. Huge patch between Pinellas Point and Bishop's Harbor. So
nothing in the north end?
Not that I've heard yet. I was talking to Jeff Page this morning. Page was asking me what I saw, and I said I hadn't seen anything towards Fort DeSoto yet. But obviously, Glenn Taylor was in Boca Ciega today and saw it in Boca Ciega. So if we're going to pray for some breeze out of the east, it's a good time to get praying. If you guys have any ties to Mother Nature and you can get her to blow hard for the next couple of days, it would probably be a bonus.
It's going to be 20 on Saturday.
It really needs to be, because this isn't good. We need to get cold. We need to get cold really, really quick and kill that balloon. Again, I've been talking about it for 2.5 months. It's been way too warm. Bad stuff. You know this game very well. It's bad stuff. So I don't know how we're going to beat that. If it were me and I was fishing, the tournament's Saturday?
Saturday. Hey, who here has ever fished a redfish tournament? IFA, Florida Pro. Have you ever fished a calm tournament day?
It'll happen.
So strap on your big boy pants.
I did it
and
for
let's roll.
10 years. I think there was 2 of them.
In a career.
I think there was 2. Yeah, I think I had 2 of them. They were in some lousy fisheries where I couldn't find fish, so we just drove around, drank beer all day. I would probably go north if it were me. I'm getting really good reports of a lot of deep water big trout. So don't just concentrate, although just yesterday's report was huge fish up shallow, which with the water temps, I'm a little surprised that they're quite that shallow. But there's a lot of fish up in your residential canals right now. They're pretty good size. So, is everybody familiar with the Aztec? If I could only fish 5 baits, I'd be going to Mahoney's and I'd be buying them out of these baits. I'm sorry, I kind of wrecked your whole mojo. I did. I totally dished on you, but I would think that would be a good way to go. Because the water temps have been so high, and I've run a few artificial trips here in the last couple of weeks. They've been very, very difficult to do because there's so many pinfish and so many blowfish because the water is still so very warm. Monday, I had an artificial trip in the morning and I stuck about a 18, 19-inch trout, nice fish, big belly on it, put another bait in the hole, stuck a fish. I thought, ooh, this one's even bigger. It was shaking like a big old yellow mouth coming at me, and it was about a 9-inch pinfish that I hooked in the side. And because he was, I had him hooked in the side, I thought it was a big trout, just kind of shaking his head. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. For this time of year, for those big pinfish to still be on the flats, so you want to find something that is going to hold up for a lot of casts. Mirror lure stuff holds up really, really good. I talked to Tim about the same thing. Little Johns don't have that tail on them. Trout are eating them, redfish are eating them. I literally just came from Titusville. I filmed a show there on Tuesday, and that's what I threw all day. And the redfish ate it up. And I threw that bait all day. Now, they don't have the pinfish problem over there in the north end of the Indian River like we do here, but I threw it all day. So, and it was a slow, we caught nice redfish, but it took us all day. So I literally threw it all day. My back is still a little sore because I'm out of that game a little bit. But the mirror lure product will hold up really, really well. Can they use hard baits?
Yes. Any artificial.
Wow.
If I was going to fish it, I'd be throwing a spoon all day.
Well,
Mine would be throwing a spoon because I've caught just as many big trout.
oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. What you might want to do, I believe, what is CA's spoon? Aqua Dream?
Aqua Dream, but I love.
They make a pinfish looking one though. That might be a good bait to throw.
Wait, you've got plenty of those pumpkin head spoons.
Should, yeah.
Or you get the gold one with the on the inside it has like a red reflector color on the inside of it all day long.
Might be a good choice too. Does anybody have any questions? I usually do this all Q&A. I don't really like to think about what I'm going to talk about. Because I figure if you guys come here, you have questions and you don't want to just hear me talk about catching snook if we're going to have a redfish and trout tournament. Yes,
What's your two favorite hard baits to throw?
oof. I would have to throw a Myridine because we still have a lot of bait around. If you're gonna get in the creeks, the 7MR11s are tough to beat, although it's still pretty warm. I like those baits a lot more when it's cold, because the 7MR11s, the 7M series is a suspending bait. So as you twitch it, it comes down in the column and then slowly comes up to the surface. When it's really cold, it gives fish time to see it, and because it doesn't take off very quick, they have time while they're in that slow motion to come up and eat it. I mean, I would probably throw a Myridine right now with what we have for bait. That's going to be your trick. The trick to this tournament is going to be, the fish don't really know that it's December. That's your confusing thing. The really smart ones do, but they're already up the river. Because they went up the river based on the length of the day. But a lot of fish, as I'm seeing running around my tower, but we have a lot of fish that are dumb, they ain't figured it out yet. They're still out on the flats. I mean, the snook have not all moved to where they should be. This is the exact same scenario we had in 2010.
Yes.
Those of you remember the freeze?
What's the water temperature out there with the water right now?
Mid-70s.
Really?
Still. Yeah.
December 3rd.
December 3rd. I mean, there's a lot of fish in places they should not be. Now, a lot of them moved. I know guys that live on the Alphi River that have seen a really good push up the rivers for big trout, snook, redfish. They're catching fish, like normal, but we're still catching them out in front of Bishop's Harbor, where they should not be anymore in 2.5, 3 feet of water. So I don't envy you. I don't envy you, number one, because you're going to have a 20-knot wind, and two, because it's just kind of a mess. The good news is there's a lot of big trout out there. A lot of big trout. Mike Gore called me yesterday and caught 4 28 to 30-inch fish out of one hole down in Fort Stowe, up skinny, which really surprises me because it's not cold and the water's not super clean.
We're talking trout, is that, Steve?
Trout.
That's quality.
Really good fish. And he said there was more big fish in that hole, so this is the time of year we start to normally see those fish down south, but not at this water temp. I didn't expect to see them with this water temp. So I guess they were the smart ones that were like, I know we're supposed to be somewhere right now. We should go. So I would definitely throw Myridine. I think the spoon's a good idea as well, but you got to commit to it. See, I have ADD. All day I'm going to be, if you don't get bit, you're going to be like, God, why did I pick this bait? It's a tough turn. I'm a plastic guy. I mean, I like to throw plastics. I like to throw jigs. When I was fishing the tournament trail like Tiger is now, it was always important for me to pick a partner that liked to throw topwaters and hard baits, because sometimes that's the bite. And I shouldn't say I hate topwaters, but on tour where you really gotta work and go and go and go because you've been gone from home for 7 days and you haven't made any money and your wife expects a check, you have to grind and grind and grind. So I always picked a partner that liked to throw topwater so I could just throw jigs. In my perfect world, if I was fishing the tournament, I'd find a good grassy shoreline with some big mullet on it. I'd throw a mirror lure Little John XL, and I'd throw it weedless. Based on what I saw at Fort DeSoto with the really, really big fish up shallow, that's what I would do. I mean, if it were me, that's what I would throw. And I'd throw something,
You said Little John XL.
yes.
News to me. Thank you.
The Little John XL is?
Haven't seen it.
Phenomenal, babe. Phenomenal. Been out a while.
No, I'm a big fan of Little John.
Yes,
I didn't
well-
know there was an XL.
There is an XL, yes. Now, it didn't work in Titusville because the captain I was with, I put him on the XL thinking it probably would work better. The littler one worked. He didn't catch any on that one and I caught 3 and then he switched to this one. So, but if I was gonna fish one, it might be what I'd do. Either that or I would go with the Elastec Redfish Magic because if you pull one of them out, where do they go?
They're right there.
They're right there, buddy.
I don't know if everybody's played with these, but they're pretty amazing.
Now, what size jig head and what color jig head? would you
Well,
use?
can you change your jig heads?
No.
You only get one jig head.
If you pick red, you got red.
Well, what about the weight?
Weight. If it's a quarter ounce, it's a quarter ounce.
So you only get one jig head too?
Yeah.
What makes a difference?
Yeah, 1 liter. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does.
And again, here's what I would tell you. If I'm fishing fish in a canal, and again, Billy was just on the air talking about Apollo Beach canals holding big trout. So there's big trout in deep water. If I'm throwing them in deep water, and I know that's where I'm gonna concentrate my fishing, I'm gonna go with a quarter ounce. If I'm on the skinny, then I want it light. Because those big trout are smart. They're one of the toughest fish to really catch. I just wrote an article for Coastal Angle Magazine this afternoon for January on catching big trout. And that, to me, is a really tough, a true trophy trout in that 27, 28, 30-inch class. That's a tough fish to catch. Their eyes are on top of their head. They're super smart. They grow fast. It's not that old of a fish, but them big ones are smart. But look, I mean, there's reason to throw that. What I would do, especially with, the Nazis over here that won't let you change jig heads much, I would take some super glue. I would super glue these to my jig head. Is super glue legal?
Yes.
I don't want you to use super glue and then.
So is the Pro Kit.
Well, yeah, you can scent them up if you want to. I think scent, in certain cases, scent works. In certain cases, if I was gonna fish this tournament, I wouldn't put Pro Cure on. There's too many pinfish right now. You're gonna draw extra pinfish with Pro Cure. Tiger's gonna learn something. He's taking notes.
I was sitting there trying to tell him something to do because
Don't use Pro Cure right now.
Percentage makes sense.
Yeah, they are, but the Pro Cure is gonna make them worse. You're gonna draw more pinfish or blowfish and you'll lose them quicker. But I would, yes.
When you talk about twitch baits, like MR17s, MR14s, there's some Paul Browns, stuff like that.
Well,
Those are all good baits.
they are good baits. The Paul Brown series would be excellent. The Paul Brown series for me, although I've caught some nice fish on it, it's a tough bait for me to use, again, because I'm super ADD. That's why jigs work for me, because I can just kind of get busy and just move to my next
I
cast.
can't tell you this, Paul Brown. Every trout record in the state of Texas was caught with a Paul Brown.
That's a fact. And,
Every line class record.
and the only time that Billy Noble's ever beat me throwing artificials in like 7 years, honest to God,
No, that's true.
only time he ever beat me throwing artificials, period, was the day he was fishing Paul Browns with Jeff Page, and Page and I were not using them. And he kind of cheated. No, he got some pointers from Eric Bachnick. If you're gonna learn to throw the Paul Brown correctly, getting some pointers from Eric Bachnick is a good way to go. So he kind of cheated a little, and I didn't get the same pointers.
If you need pointers from Eric Bachman, you can go to the Southshore Anglers site, go to the forum section, go under meetings, and February's meeting is taped, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes of Eric Bachman.
He's a special cat, good fisherman too.
One of the best out there.
The Paul Browns will work really good. I like the Paul Brown baits if I'm fishing heavy mullet. I think then it works really, really well. I don't know if that's why they were invented or what, but for me, that bait sits in the water, very mullet-like. So, yes?
You're talking about rigging that weedless. What kind of hook are you using there?
Well, I'm a Gamakatsu guy, so I like to use about a 5/0, a weighted, like a bass hook. And I rig it, obviously you want to rig all that weedless. But
Texas rig?
Yeah, Texas rig it, and you can, Mustad makes some real good options in that as well.
Same hook for a worm, right? You're talking?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Mahoney's, any of the shops will have a weighted bass hook. And on the Little John, it works really, really well. It sets up perfect. TJ Stewart, some of the guys that I filmed with this year, kind of turned me on to fishing that Little John that way, and it works really, really good. You can swim it real quiet. The other thing I would do, and again, it's windy, so our water clarity may not be really good, but you're fishing for trout and redfish. If you're fishing in open water, you want to drop that leader size down. Again, the trout have big eyes. They sit on top of their head. They're super smart. Go with as light a leader as you think you can get away with. If you're going to fish open water, fish a 20 or a 15-pound leader. Long casts are going to be huge, huge. You're going to want distance on those fish. It's the weekend. 800 people fishing Tampa Bay a day in your spot.
That's why you need that whole bay, so you
Well, it makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. Make sure you have a good braided line on. Again, if you're gonna fish the docks and the canals, then I would want a 25-pound leader, because if you get a big fish on and lose them on the heavy cover, you're gonna be grouchy. Has there been any fish in Little Manatee River? Has there?
Yeah.
Are you fishing a tournament? Maybe I should.
No, I'm not fishing a
Okay.
tournament, but it's sporadic. Black Friday we caught redfish up to 30 inches and we caught snook to 33 inches. The last couple of days when we've been doing some filming and stuff for the business, it's been slow.
It's been
So
slow.
they're
everywhere.
coming, it seems like they're coming in waves.
Last couple
And
days,
it's
it's been slow all over.
like we had a problem with, we had glass minnows everywhere around the dock for 2 weeks. And then the week before Thanksgiving, they disappeared. And we had gone and caught bait to do some filming, and the bait literally was acting like there was red tide. You would pick, they were fine and alive, well, you pick them up, you put them on, and they would literally tense up into a U shape. And I've never experienced this before except for red tide. And you throw them out 2 or 3 times, and they'd be dead. But now they're not doing that. So it was a weird kind of...
Well, I gotta believe the fish are really confused as well.
They
Because
are,
again,
yeah.
your food's changing briskly, because the bait is where it shouldn't be in
There's
December.
bait that I've caught that I've never caught on the flats
Yeah.
in December.
I'm with you.
Flat out.
I'm
It's
with you.
loaded.
I
it's
usually
crazy.
book a lot of artificial trips this time of year, and I've been talking them into fishing bait whenever possible, because the artificials, quite frankly, are a pain in the keister right now, because there's so many pinfish and blowfish. It's just really tough, especially if you're trying to teach somebody and build confidence in their artificial fishing. If I gotta put on another bait every other cast, it's tough, and my sponsors hate me because I gotta order them by the 100 count. So, but it's big. Yes, sir.
Where's the bait located now? On the flats?
The bait?
Yeah.
Just about everywhere. There's a guy I talked to this morning, caught it on the flat. It's still at the north and south piers. I don't fish up this far, so it may be, I would have guessed there's probably some on the market.
Does anybody
Yeah.
know what Beacon's Pass? From Beacon's Pass to Piney Point,
It's
the
on the
whole
grass.
flat is all loaded with bait.
Still on the grass, it's on the
Yeah.
markers. It's September, basically.
How about the mackerel, are they still around?
I haven't been out. The trips I have had, it's been real windy. And I fish out of O'Neill's Marina down the south end, so most of my mackerel fishing this time of year, I'm on the beach, and I just haven't been able to get to the beach. The guys who were out without clients, that could just go fishing and do whatever they wanted to do, and if they got all beat up, it didn't matter. They said the kingfish bite and the mackerel bite's fantastic. I talked to Dave Blanchard from Pumpkin Jigs 2 days ago, and he said it's absolutely epic on the kingfish. Phenomenal. So that's up towards Clearwater, but if they're on the Clearwater hard bottom, they're on the St. Pete hard bottom too. So, it's too close. And there's a lot of bait out there on the beach still, so. As long as the bait, think about this, it's December and we're not done with kingfish water temperature yet. Kingfish water temp, 72 degrees, kind of textbook, 73, 74, 75 degrees in some places in December. Although the wind's howling every day, it's hard to get out there and catch them, so I don't know what's worse. Knowing they're there and not being able to go get them, or them not being there. I don't know what's worse. Yes, sir?
You made the reference to just like 2010, and you're talking about basically like the freeze of the fish all on them flat.
Because they're not where they should be.
So they're not.
In 2010, it was, I don't remember the exact date, but I know for a fact it was December. I ran the clam bar, the outside of the clam bar, and I ran over 10 to 15 snook that were as long as my leg. I was in my tower. I was by myself just to search, checking my spots, see where the fish were. I was in a sleeveless t-shirt and shorts. And I drove over them, I stopped my boat, and I called Jamie Goodwin, and I said, Jamie, that's bad. It's December, bro. They don't belong there. This can't be good. And then we got
were in Charlotte Harbor, Brett and I and some of the guys from Mahoney's on Friday, whacking the fish on the outside bars in shorts and flip-flops and t-shirts, and then that front came in, and Saturday, I don't know what the temperature dropped, 40 degrees or 50 degrees.
And then it stayed there.
And there was a lot of fish, that's when we lost a lot of fish.
You bet. That's what happened to that freeze. That's what got us. Was that those fish didn't transition. Or they started their transition and then fell back because you had 3 days of 82 degrees again. Baits everywhere. I mean, it's massively confusing to them fish. And it's not like we're off a little. You can be off a little, like October and November were a little warm. It's December.
So we better go catch them up now.
Crazy. You're gonna have to scoop them up with a net. And I don't know what's worse. Again, that's why the red tide's here. Red tide is fueled by warm water. So when you have those super hot summers and we get a long stretch of that west wind, that's usually when we get in trouble because that stuff starts offshore and pushes its way inshore. And as it comes inshore, it picks up nutrients off the bottom and gets stronger. And that's what gets you in trouble. Lots of west wind. They've had it down south here for a while. It just started now, picking our way. So, I mean, it's a horrible, and the bad part for me, and for all of you guys too, the fishing's been unbelievable. I mean, the estuary's in phenomenal shape. I mean, with the amount of pressure we have here, to be able to do what we do, absolutely incredible. Incredible. This may be one of the most incredible fisheries in the country, based on how many people we have here working. This is the #1 bay boat market in the country. More bay boats are sold in the Tampa Bay DMA than any in the country. And have you seen how many kayaks there are? Those guys don't even have boats. So do the math on that. And the wade fishermen, the pier fishermen that we see every day. I mean, the amount of fishing pressure on this estuary to deliver to us the amount of fish, record fish that it does, I mean, I don't know how many guides there are. Hundreds. I mean, so all that pressure to do what this estuary does is absolutely incredible. I mean, if you put it in perspective, everybody's like, oh, the fishing in Louisiana. Yeah, there's nobody there. It's 8 million miles of marsh. I mean, it's epic.
But all they want to do is catch trout anyway.
They're stupid.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, those fish are dumb, man.
That's all they want to do too.
They haven't even seen them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You go there and all they want to do is catch trout. We're sitting there pulling these monster redfish. We're like, oh, that's a redfish. I'll take that 15-inch trout though. Okay. Okay.
Put one back and see what happens. They get real unhappy if you let them go.
What's the tide supposed to be on Saturday?
Bad.
Crappy.
Shape.
Awesome. Incoming in the morning.
It's flat.
Oh, well, hey, I try to go for a quarter minute.
How many people are fishing this?
It's flat.
Yeah, what is he thinking?
Keep it fair.
Yeah.
Keep it fair.
Don't you listen to the show?
They just
It's gonna
called
be very
me.
slow.
Any more questions? Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be a little tough. But you know what, the one thing about weather, whether you're fishing a pro tournament or you're fishing a tournament like this, gonna level a lot of it out. It'll level it out. Somebody's gonna pick the right canal, the right flat, somebody's gonna somebody's gonna muster through some bad weather, a little tougher than somebody else, and they're gonna win a tournament.
Bring out like 5 baits.
That too.
Make sure there's pufferfish. And if you guys aren't used to casting 500-600 times in a day, take Advil before you go out and take Advil.
Yeah.
Because the first time Sean and I fished a tournament, we each casted about 3,000 times. The next day, Sean's on the phone meeting. Dude, what happened to my back? I don't know what's going on. I was like, dude, it's because you're up front throwing that damn plastic like a crazy man.
I did it for 10 years straight on tour. And Tuesday, we pulled into Titusville at 7:50 in the morning, and it was raining, but it looked like it was going to clear. Like 8:15, 8:30, we finally splashed the boat, and we got off the water at 5 o'clock. And I threw Little Johns all day, and about 2 o'clock, my back was like, okay, chief. This ain't 10 years ago when you were on tour doing it all the time, boy. It's tough. That's a tough deal. Right between your shoulder blades.
Yep. Every time.
Ibuprofen's good. Bud Light, ibuprofen.
Bill Geese King Leather.
It's a good combination, yeah. Sweetwater ale. Drink Sweetwater ale. Yeah. It's all in the same building. All in the same building. Any more questions? I don't know if I helped y'all or hurt y'all or
I can give this to you.
scared you.
Marquette suggested Silver Spoon.
You know what? Silver Spoon's always a good choice.
And he said, this time of year, Silver Spoon, and he said what he found was, instead of going skinning, where the fish were finding the water at the end of the low tide, before getting, that's where the fish were staying. They weren't going up to where the tide was.
One of the coolest things I ever learned from Dave Marquette, and there's a bunch of them. I was super blessed when I first got into this gig. I probably shouldn't have been guiding. I was a little overambitious for sure. But because I was hanging out with Billy and Jamie Goodwin and Dave Marquette, they didn't let me look like too big a moron. Marquette has forgot more. Honest to God, Dave Marquette has forgot more than most of us will ever know. He can be a little grouchy and a little owly, and God, please don't get too close to him on the water with children on the boat. It could be straight up scarring stuff. But that being said, the man is brilliant. I mean, you got to renew your captain's license every 5 years. I just did mine. I just went over 15 years, so I've done mine 3 times. Dave's on his 7th renewal.
Nice.
7th renewal. And making a living on the water with all the changes and everything we've been through is really impressive. But I was struggling one day really bad, and I'm like, Dave, I can't, 2 days in a row, Dave comes in with these massive trout, and I'm like, what are you doing? Dave is pinpointing the flat on a dropping tide. On every flat, there's little bitty troughs and variations where that water pours out extra. And in every one of those spots, Dave was finding his fish. Pay really, really close attention to the bottom on those flats, near your channels, things like that. That water, you think all that water is just pouring out of there, and it is. But in certain areas, it pours better than others. There's little depressions that cut through those outside bars, and that's where those fish will stage up. And I'm telling you, if you learn to pay attention to those little differences in your terrain and your bottom, if you will, it'll really change how you fish. It was just, when Dave said it, I'm like, I'm such a moron. Why don't you think of that?
Because there's all these pretty mangroves. Right?
It's easy to, stuff like that's easy not to focus on. And the best, I say this all the time, I've said it on the radio 100 times, and I say it at Gator Ford when I just stand there with my jaw dropped as Jamie Goodwin or Dave Marquette or one of these, great fishermen is dropping information on us. The best fishermen I know, and I mean like not ordinary fishermen, because we can all catch fish. The guys who, when it's really, really, really lousy, still catch fish. Those guys are so scientific, it's unbelievable. They don't miss a single detail. Water temp, 1 or 2 degrees warmer because of the color of the bottom, because of the direction of the wind. When you start to put all those little pieces into the equation, it'll blow your mind. Because I'm telling you, I just running 180 miles an hour, just beating my head against the wall, can't figure it out. And Jamie would be like, Jamie Goodwin's like, dummy. This and this and this, and you're like, God, You think that'd be so easy. It's not. Dave Marquette does the same stuff. The little nuances, those little pieces to the puzzle are huge, huge. And most of it, unfortunately, a lot of it is time on the water. I tell people a lot, the only difference between me and most of the guys in this room is time on the water. When I first started, I was running my aluminum business. I was fishing part-time. I got into it because I was fishing the Pro Tour, and the aluminum business offered me, I could do that and still get a paycheck, be gone, the guys are still working, and I'd come home after being gone for 7 days, still have a check. Mama's happy, everybody's happy. Well, then I started to guide, and I'd have some really good trips, and I'd have some really, really bad trips, because you wouldn't fish for 7, 8 days, and then you'd run a trip or two. You'd just be totally disconnected from what was going on 7 or 8 days ago. When I left the aluminum business and I went full-time, Mama was she was not real pleased. But those 6 months, I got much better. When you can be on the water every day, it changes everything. Just like golf.
No sacrifice for
Tiger Woods, right? Tiger Woods, he hits golf balls every day. I mean, I go hit a golf ball. I had a golf club in my hand 10 years. I couldn't hit the backside of a barn. He does it every single day, and he's been doing it since he was 4. So, yes, sir.
Mike, not to deviate from the subject, but I've enjoyed a couple of your shows where you did it from spring song,
Stream song.
stream song. Is that as good as it looks?
It's ridiculous. Listen,
I'm a saltwater guy.
seriously,
Yeah,
so was I. I really was.
And how expensive you went to stay there?
Well, it's a nice, very nice resort. I don't think it's arm and a leg. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's probably not as expensive as the Don. But it's a nice place. It's beautiful. I mean, you can shoot sporting clays there. Their golf courses are like number 3 and 4 in the state of Florida.
I've heard that.
And I don't play golf, but the first time I went out there to see the property with the Mosaic people, we ate at the clubhouse. I'm not a dummy. I mean, I used to swing some.
Is it kind of Wauchula or Fort Meade?
It's in Fort Meade. I mean, it's
out in the middle of nowhere.
It looks like it does not belong.
Yeah.
You're literally driving in cow pasture, and all of a sudden you're like, boop.
These are all mines. Old
Somebody,
mines.
yeah. Somebody dropped this beautiful resort in the middle of nowhere, and it's amazing. The fishing there is amazing. If you ever get the opportunity, if you ever want to do something special to treat yourself, I would go do it. Here's the bad news. The bad news is, because I've been lucky enough to fish these Mosaic properties, I did something with Captain Ben Marshall, who's got a tie to Barry Johnson. It's a long story. But I got to fish some of it with Ben. Ben snuck us into some ponds years ago. They were epic. And then this Mosaic gift fell in my lap. So I start to think, this bass fishing thing is fun. But then when you go, you know what, that's why, the reason I was so moved to do it for the TV show was, you guys get to see me doing on TV what I do every day. So, I mean, I don't know, to me, it's like a race car driver. I mean,
You were using a lot of the same baits you use in saltwater.
the cool part about the bass thing to me was, a true bass fisherman that watches that show, he knows I'm an idiot. He sees me constantly getting the wind knots and he sees all that. They pick up on it, because I'm not a very good bass fisherman. I didn't do it. I didn't grow up. I grew up walleye fishing. You know, I came here and got right into saltwater. Completely clueless. That's why, if you watch, Tyler Ramsdale, the kid that he throws spinning rods. And I almost always, 98% of the time, I've been throwing bait casters because I'm just trying to be true to it. It's harder for me to do it, and I think for the viewer, that's probably cool. They're like, look at that idiot. So that's why, you know, I wanted to be outside my element. I liked being uncomfortable on a bass boat with a kid like Tyler who does it every day. So the first time we went out there, I whooped him. I was like, woo! Oh, and he took some heat from his
The
family.
last couple of times.
Oh, I took a beat down, yeah. He's fired up these last couple. He lets me know about it too. He calls me like, he still calls me like every other week and go, hey, remember that beat down? I'm prepping for another one. He's a good kid, but I highly recommend that place. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And the fishing is, even on days when Tyler's like, yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough, you know, we catch 30 by noon. You're like, that's ridiculous. So, if you can get there when bass fishing's right, then you have a chance at a trophy, you know. I've missed some big fish. Caught some good ones, but I've missed some big ones. So, there's 12, 13, 14 pound fish in there easy. More questions, anybody? I hope I didn't bore you too bad.
Hey, Mike,
Yes,
how did you get that yellowfin in that looked pretty narrow?
I got that.
During that show that you guys were talking
Dude,
about.
you know what the funny part about that is? That's the part that should get filmed.
I mean, that
Because,
looked like a tight
dude,
fit.
out there, they got mosquitoes so big, honest to God, they will carry even me away. The mosquitoes out there are huge. And it's dark. First time I went out there, Tyler's like, oh yeah, I got you covered. I went down there with my truck. We won't have a problem. Dude, they had mowed in this field. So we're going through this field. I'm in my truck. I'm towing the yellowfin demo boat. It's not even my boat. It's somebody else's boat. I'm like, bro, I'm like waiting for the cow to jump out of the weeds. And it's dark. And he's like, no, it's right down here. Bro, you can't see nothing. Then I get out and I'm like, God, you're just swatting mosquitoes. It's terrible. First time, no problem. We launched it, pulled the boat out, no problem. The next time, they had changed trailers on me, and it was a lower trailer. So as we launched, because you're just launching in a lake, just praying that the Gator Ford F-250 can get her done when you go to leave. Well, because it was low in the front, it hit the earth. I couldn't get it out. I thought, do you think Yellowfin will understand that we just have a permanent boat here at Streamside? Or test runs? And usually, I found on my way back to Yellowfin, because I usually go straight back to Yellowfin and take the boat back, I had to find like an industrial car wash deal, because there is mud and cattails, and it's covered in it, dude. I have Tyler, I put it on the trailer, and then I tell Tyler, I'm just going to wave my arm out the window. You gun that Yamaha 250, dude, with that in the truck, we'll pull her out of here, and that's what we do, we shoot it out there. It's crazy. I wish they'd put a ramp in, but they won't. They've since mowed it a couple times. It's easier when it's mowed, but and that part is very funny. They should film Tyler and I running around swatting mosquitoes on our head. Truck gets full. You open the door, and it's like a whole flock flies in your truck. I don't know how people live out there. I'm like, you gotta walk around with like a thermocell around your neck or something. I don't know how you do it.
And this is a pristine resort.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's gorgeous.
Welcome to Florida.
Well, you want to be inside. I didn't say fish at night. You don't want to fish at night. You want to be inside. That's why they have sporting clays out there. You're not actually shooting clays, you're shooting mosquitoes. As they fly by. Any more questions, anybody? 30 minutes from kickoff.
Hey, thanks so much for coming out, bud. I greatly appreciate it.
Good luck, everybody.